I've just inserted a camera card, and if I hit F11 on the Mac to hide everything and show the desktop, you'll see this Nikon N1 card reader and this DICOM folder. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but that's just how I quickly refer to it, and a folder of images that were shot in JPEG and the Camera Raw format at the same time. Now, if I were to go back, I could simply drag this folder to the desktop and then rename them through Bridge and add metadata through Bridge, extra data about the file stored in the file. But I'd like Bridge to do all the work for me at once. So if I come back down to Adobe Bridge and choose File, Get Photos from Camera, I still have my iPhone plugged in, and I'm in the Advanced dialog. There's a Standard dialog down at the bottom, or Advanced dialog down at the bottom. So I'm going to select the Nikon N1, and it pulled that card reader to see all the images on the card. I'm going to choose to make a new folder, and I will go up a level and make a new folder called Baby Girl. So we have a series that we'd like to use for birthday party invites. So I'll hit Create and Open. And by default, it will be set to make a different subfolder for every shot date, but I prefer to put them all in one spot and not have Bridge create subfolders for me. So I'm going to choose None. For the name, I'll name this Baby Girl. And I don't need an underscore after the file name. I always use underscore so I don't get the %20 wherever I would be tempted to put a space here. That would be replaced with %20 often when you email files. And I'll start numbering at 1. And if I have several camera cards full of images, I'll just copy each batch, and Bridge will remember how many I imported last time and pick up at the next number. Now, if I look at templates, I have standard templates that I use, one for my company and one for Ryan Sue, a photographer who's granted me rights to some of his images for these videos. For the basic metadata, I'm just attaching my name and my copyright, and I will click Get Media. And it says Get Media because it not only brings in photos, and in this case, the raw Nikon format from my Nikon N1, the camera JPEG, because I shoot in both at the same time. If I don't have time to correct, I may just upload the JPEGs or give the JPEGs as proofs to the client. But it will bring in movies. My iPhone can record movies, my Nikon can record movies, and I think they're both in the .mov format. I'll see when I go in and take a look at some folders with movies from each device on them. Now, just below the bottom of the screen is a little Get Media button that I'll click, and there are 23 files that it is copying. Once they're imported, I can choose to review these in several different ways. And you'll notice that the camera made a JPEG and a RAW, a .nef. The extension for RAW changes depending on your camera type. There are lots of different extensions, over 400 types of RAW. And if you aren't familiar, high-end cameras, ones with changeable lenses that usually cost at least $500 or $600 and could go up to $8,000 or more with lenses, they shoot in native RAW format. So Nikon's RAW format is .nef, but you may see .crw, which stands for Camera Raw, or .cr2, or .dng, which stands for Digital Negative. Again, there's over 400 of these. So the high-end cameras are known as DSLR, Digital Single Lens Reflex, and it just means that you buy an expensive camera that you can swap out long-distance lenses, macro lenses, a variety of lenses to get the exact thing you're looking for out of your shot. So on those devices, the default usually is to shoot only in JPEG, and JPEG would be an already processed and developed image that's ready to email to anyone or upload to Facebook or share on social media. The RAW is the one where you get to do the developing on the computer. You develop in Photoshop's Camera Raw plugin, or Bridge also has a Camera Raw plugin, or you develop in Photoshop Lightroom, just like you would film. In film, you had a darkroom where you would develop. On the computer, you have a Lightroom where you don't have to work in the dark or completely in the dark, and you can get many different variations of the exact same image, pulling what you want and what you saw or what you intended to convey in that photo out of the image through your developing process. So as I look at this folder of images, I'm going to choose Edit, select All, and I may decide to just look at the JPEGs or just the Camera Raw. I may also go to View and Slideshow. And in Slideshow, I can compare the JPEG to the RAW. The RAW is basically unsharpened, uncolor corrected, but the pure data from the camera, and it can never be harmed. So if I go back with my left arrow key on my keyboard, I have my camera set to vibrant for JPEG, and there's a lot of camera settings. I won't go into great detail there, but it boosts the saturation and the vibrance of all the colors a little bit more. So in the pure shot, I don't get that extra yellow tone or boosted rich pinks that you're seeing here. But I still will need to develop the RAW myself, make it a better shot and the way I saw it when I was shooting this scene. So I'm going to hit Escape, but I will point out the last thing about importing RAW images. When I did the batch rename, either Tools batch rename or when using File Get Photos from Camera, it knew that the first image that was a JPEG is also the same first image that's a RAW format, or the Nikon RAW format, the NEF. So it didn't do 1, 2, 3, 4. These two are the first shot, these two are the second shot, these two are the third, and so on. And then I can begin to organize and develop using Photoshop's Camera Raw plugin, or do more serious hardcore corrections and adjustments in Photoshop. So this has been importing high-end camera images using File Get Photos from Camera that pulls from a card reader or a USB reader that's plugged directly into your computer.